What's up, everybody, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Exploitation, your guide to exploitive cinema. This is the pod boss, TJ Bowser, and joining me as always is my doppelganger, Kanga-Banga from Down Under, Mr. Brody Kane.
Howdy, motherfuckers.
And the second man on the grassy knoll, Mr. Slick Nick.
Yo.
Today we have a doozy of an episode, but first, it's time for your slice of life. Brody, how goes it?
Oh, like I say every week, Mr. Bowser, it all fucking goes well here and there, you know. I'm fucking at work, I'm on set. Never fucking ends, mate. Never ends, you know. Nah. I went to the gym last night. I think I fucked my shoulder. So if you hear me grunting throughout the episode, you'll know it's that. Oh, and I got it like a bit of a slight fucking earache, as I was telling you before the show. That's a nice thing to wake up to on a fucking Saturday morning. Other than that, watch this fantastic film. It's a film that I really enjoy, hold close to my heart. Didn't buy any fucking Blu-rays this week. I nearly bought, I think it's Red Scorpion with Dolph Lundgren in it. I pulled through, I saved $15, and yeah, but who knows, tomorrow could be a different story, so could buy that shit. But anyway, other than that, to stop rambling on a bit, that's all to go with me this week is, what about you, Slick Nick?
So, same as you to some degree, mostly just working. I had yesterday off, luckily for the holiday, so didn't have to do much on that. This is probably the only movie I've watched this week. I've been binging the shit out of Oz. What I'm trying to do is watch all of the like main HBO shows in order of release. So I'm doing this, then Sopranos, Wire, Boardwalk, Game of Thrones. So that's like my plan for just everything I want to watch. But really that's about it. At least on my end. Watching some movies and some shows with some friends. What about you, TJ? What you doing?
Well, I got my Twin Peaks tape recorder in today, screen match to the pilot episode, and I quickly hurried up and recorded Dale Cooper audio onto it, and it's made my day truly special. I also got my Scream Factory sale order in today, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Lake Placid, and Road Games, and to my surprise, Road Games came with one of those tasty slipcovers. But yes, I didn't even know it would come with a slipcover whenever I ordered it at first. I thought, what's the chance of that? It's kind of first come, first serve with those. But yeah, I talked to some folks today about starting some new podcasts on the network and about maybe redoing some of the existing ones, kind of breathing new life into them, starting them back up again. So just kind of working on things. Got a new story idea this week, started outlining that, talked to Brody about that, so maybe there's new stuff on the horizon. Who the fuck knows? But more importantly, what the fuck was that?
I don't think that came through on our end the way it was intended.
Good shit.
But what I am excited for is to talk about this week's film, and that film is Once Were Warriors from 1994.
1,000 years ago, the Maoris discovered New Zealand.
Our people once were warriors. They were people with pride, people with spirit.
Today, they are strangers in that land.
You too. Do you think we'll ever get out of here too?
Dunno.
Frightened.
You like your pretty boy face.
Angry. Lost.
Been keeping bad company.
Was that before or after you picked him up?
Once were warriors. The story of one woman's fight for freedom.
You're a hard lady, Bessie.
You're a hard man, Jakey.
Aren't they beautiful when they're like that?
Just drunk, that's all.
People show their true feelings when they're drunk.
I got a temper on me, but who hasn't?
One family's fight for survival.
Leave that kid alone. You know, that's your problem. You spoil a lot of them.
Don't care about any of us.
Tell Jakey you love him.
It's the trouble, Jake. I do.
In the spirit of the past,
You think your fist is your weapon?
there is power.
I have taught you. Your mind will be.
Pride.
Don't want any more of these drunken parties or your mates coming around.
Possibility.
About the thing, eh?
You're still a slave, Jake. To your fist. To the drink.
I'm a lovable chap.
To yourself.
Once were warriors.
Gonna hurt my babies anymore.
A woman's journey home.
and that is from director Lee Tamahori, who did The Edge in 1997, Die Another Day in 2002, Triple X, State of the Union in 2005, and Next in 2007. Writers Rewa Brown, who did Flight of the Albatross in 1995, The Legend of Johnny Lingo in 2003, and Aringi Bay in 2012, a TV movie. Cinematographer Stuart Dryberg, who did The Piano in 1993, Aeon Flux in 2005, The Painted Veil in 2006, and The Great Wall in 2016. Special effects Richard Taylor, who worked on The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring in 2001, King Kong in 2005, and Krampus in 2015. Production design Michael Caine, and not the one you're thinking of, who worked on Desperate Remedies in 1992, Broken English in 1996, and Broken Lines in 2008. Producers Robin Scholes. Editor Michael Horton, who worked on Goodbye Pork Pie in 1980, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers in 2002, and The Patriarch in 2016. Do we have a budget, boys?
I was not able to find one. I have the box office and everything, but I was not able to get a budget.
Okay.
I might be able to find a budget.
We will include that information later if we can find it. Starring Rena Owen as Beth Hecke, who played in Savage Play in 1995, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith in 2005, The Crow Wicked Prayer in 2005, and The Last Witch Hunter in 2015. Tamara Morrison as Jake Hecke, who starred in Speed 2 Cruise Control 1997, the sequel to the scariest film ever made, according to Brody, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones in 2002, Aquaman in 2018, and The Mandalorian in 2020.
Not even going to fucking say anything. I've told you many fucking times. Dennis Hopper's character was the fucking scary cunt, not the fucking movie.
Mama Nagaro Kerbel as Grace Hecke, who starred in Shortland Streets 1992 TV series, Staunch in 2000, a TV movie, and Matuku in 2002, a TV series. Julian Aranga as Nig Hecke, who starred in The Matrix in 1999, Fracture in 2004, and The Ferryman in 2007. Tongaroa Emil as Boogie Hecke, who starred in Hercules, The Legendary Journeys in 1995, a TV series. Whale Rider in 2002, Aftershock in 2008, a TV movie. Rachel Morris Jr. as Polly Hecke, Joseph Kairu as Huata Hecke, who starred in What Becomes of the Brokenhearted in 1999, which is the sequel to this movie. And lastly, Cliff Curtis as Bully, who you may know from Deep Rising in 1998, 10,000 BC in 2008, or Dr. Sleep in 2019. Slickless Nicholas taketh the wayeth.
Jake and Beth Hecke are a poor working-class couple of Maori background in contemporary urban Auckland, New Zealand. Jake obviously loves his family, but is subject to murderous rages when he gets drunk, when he beats his wife and abuses his kids. Oldest son Nig has joined a street gang. Daughter Grace retreats into her poetry journal and hangs out with a drug-addled boy who lives in an abandoned car. And younger son, Boogie, has gotten in trouble with the law and is in juvenile detention. But the center of the story is Beth, who has a temper herself, but must learn to stop blaming herself for the horrific domestic violence and do something about it.
Fucking A. Awards! So these include, but are not limited to, the Amons International Film Festival 1994 Audience Award, Lee Tamahori winner Chicken Dinner, Australian Film Institute in 1995 Best Foreign Film Award, Robin Scholes winner Chicken Dinner, the Chicago Film Critics Association Awards in 1996 Best Actress Rena Owens nominee, Most Promising Actor Tamara Morrison nominee, Most Promising Actress Rena Owen nominee. The New Zealand Film and TV Awards in 1994, it cleaned house. It took home a total of 9 awards, including Best Film. Fansporta in 1994. The Critics Award, special mention to Morrison, winner, Chicken Dinner. Best Actress, Rena Owen, winner, Chicken Dinner. And Best Film, Lee Tamahori, nominee. Lastly, Santa Barbara International Film Festival in 1995. The Bruce C. Corin Award, Lee Tamahori, winner, Chicken Dinner. Boys, it's that time again. Let's get physical. So, we have a disc from Film Movement that dropped September 6, 2016, and it runs 103 minutes, and it's rated R. And it features a 1080p HD video, and it does not have the original aspect ratio for whatever fucking reason, but it does have DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and Dolby Digital, features English subtitles, behind-the-scenes featurette, new essay by Peter Calder, and it is a region-free 2K Blu-ray, and currently on Amazon for $27.49. Presents. And I believe that there is also UK offerings for this film from another distributor.
Second Sight Films.
There you go. Boys, what'd you discover about this awesome film?
So, speaking on the brutality and power of the acting in the film, critic Roger Ebert said in his review, Once Were Warriors has been praised as an attack on domestic violence and abuse. So it is, but I am not sure anyone needs to see this film to discover that such brutality is bad. We know that. I value it for two other reasons. Its perception in showing the way alcohol triggers sudden personality shifts, and its power in presenting two great performances by Morrison and Owen. You don't often see acting like this in the movies. They bring the Academy Awards into perspective.
So I happened to search high and low for this in conversation video on YouTube with Lee Tamahori and Robin Scholes. It's an interview that you can see on YouTube. And director Lee Tamahori talks about Once Were Warriors. He states, Stu Driver came up to me with the novel, Once Were Warriors, and said, this is fucking dynamite. You should make this into a movie. I read it and said, you're out of your mind. This is a nightmare. No one would ever go and see this thing. That was a year or so before Robin Scholes came along and said, look, I've got the rights to this book. I said, look, I'll tell you what I told Stu. It's a nightmare. It can't be made. And eventually, because of my bleating about the shape of the New Zealand film industry, kind of talked myself into it. Basically, step up and go in and do it, basically, in the end.
During the casting of the film, actor Cliff Curtis actually initially refused the role of Uncle Bully, as he was so repulsed by the character, yet relented and took the role after convincing from his agent and his aunt. However, afterwards, Curtis claims to be haunted by the role, as he has been repeatedly teased for playing the character ever since.
In an interview with Brittany Coe over at Stuff in 2009, Lee Tamahori talks about the graphic scenes being filmed. When crew members asked if he was sure he wanted the confronting scenes to be quiet and so graphic, Tamahori replied, of course, we can't go far enough because it's going to fail big time. At times, we even tried to censor himself during the editing process. The cut, the rape, the grace of Uncle Bully, it was all a big shambles pretty much. So I said, I don't think I can show this to the audience. It's quite progressive, and in the film it won't stop and you get quite uncomfortable watching it. But during a lunch break, the editor convinced him to reconsider, which he basically also said, the audience needs to see it. They need to know. It's not about us saying to hell with the audience and dragging their noses through it. It's about putting them in a situation and forcing them to watch.
So one thing I found during filming, the building used actually for all the interior and exterior shots of the courthouse whenever Boogie's going in for his getting taken off to juvenile detention were actually shot at the main New Zealand distribution office for Apple Computer, which they filmed. I guess it's like the main warehouse for it as well. Although the building has apparently since been remodeled and is apparently completely unrecognizable to the scenes in the movies, save for they have saved a portion of wall tiles, apparently, that are now in a cupboard under the staircase in the lobby. I guess they're just really sentimental for being in the movie.
What the fuck? Talk about preservation.
Right?
No, we're good. Tamora Morrison talks about the story itself. It is a story that everybody can relate to and again must go back to the power of emotion in the film. And I suppose it's true to say that it could be a story of Chinese, Scottish, Irish families within the same predicament of family at the bottom end of socio-economic scale. Universally can't be too much different from anywhere else in the world. I think we have broken those barriers, and again, the word powerful comes to mind. It is a story of a woman's journey as we follow her emotionally and how she survives.
So while the film does remain truthful to its source material, some of the main differences I was able to find between it and Alan Duff's original novel include that the novel had a further dive into the lack of education of the Hekes family, whereas in the film, Grace is portrayed as being more into reading and poetry and writing than the others, but it's not really elaborated on so much as it's just her getting away from her father. In the book, she's one of the only Maori that Beth is even familiar with that actually owns any Western books at all. In addition to this, in the novel, Nig's life with the street gang is also elaborated on, showing more in depth his use of the gang as sort of a surrogate family to him while he's distancing himself from Jake, and their ultimate failure to fulfill that role, with his girlfriend being too kind of emotionally beaten down to properly be of any support to him, and the other members too brutal for him to even respect. So they end up kind of mirroring his dad as well.
Yeah, I kind of wish that had been in the film.
I would have thought that there'd probably be like some deleted scenes or something of Nig with the street gang, or at least just more than the jumping to get him in, and then the one scene where they stop by.
That's for the second movie.
Yeah, pretty much. So we have Tamura Morrison talking about his character, Jake the Muss, because the way the book was written, it dealt with a lot of subtext. And for example, he would be driving down the road and you would hear of what was written in the book, pretty much his thoughts and feelings about things. So ideally for an actor, this is a wonderful thing for an actor because all of the subtext is there anyway. He was a hard man as well, which I've never had the opportunity to play. A real tough, hard-hitting guy. His domain where he liked to be at the pub, and that's where he liked to be with his mates, drinking, and that's where he felt most comfortable. And also, the other side was that he was a fighter. He loved fighting. Another thing that comes to my mind that I remembered was that I like to break a character down into one sentence, and I remember just saying to myself things like, well, he would hit first and talk later. But now that I think about it, he was a little bit of a listener at times, and when he was sober, I suppose, and my trouble was working it through with the director, tending to come on too much with this tough guy act right from the get-go. But the director told me that we actually have to create a character that the audience would like as well.
So, according to an article from Variety at the time, when Once Were Warriors premiered in his home country of New Zealand, though it only opened in 4 theaters, it managed to gross $114,000 New Zealand in that time, which actually broke pretty much all the house records. And eventually, the film would go on to become extremely successful on top of being critically acclaimed, grossing over $6.7 million New Zealand and surpassing Jurassic Park, making it the highest grossing film ever in New Zealand.
So we have Tamura Morrison talking about the violence. Because of the violence in the film, it just seems so funny how the opposite effect can happen in society, especially back in our homeland of New Zealand. It was brought out the fact people have been in this situation before, and this would be their opportunity to open up, just because we explained in raw, fast, and a vicious way.
So while pitching the film to potential financial backers, which actually include the New Zealand Film Commission themselves, the project struggled to get off the ground as it was believed that the story simply following Jake would be just absolutely too undesirable for audiences to get behind. Eventually, when the project got to screenwriter Ruia Brown, who cameos in the film actually, she's singing the mourning song at Grace's funeral, she rewrote a large part of Duff's original script to elevate Beth and the kids' characters' importance to equal Jake's. After this, director Lee Tamahori believed that the film would be a success, stating, "You couldn't have it be a story about a mindlessly violent thug. I was more fascinated by a story of a mother who makes efforts to rise above her circumstances and create a life for her children."
We have Tamura Morrison talking about the fight scenes. So some of those fight scenes in that film will be some of the best that I've ever seen, especially with my age in the film industry, seeing fights and arguments developing in other films to which they seem to go on and on forever. However, I think that what we did was real, raw, to the point, vicious, and laced over with scenes. Next to lovable singing, harmonious, loving scenes, they become more violent.
So in the documentary made about the creation of the film and its cast and crew, Once Were Warriors, Where Are They Now?, actor Rena Owens speaks about the physical and emotional toll inflicted on her and the other actors in the film due to the severity of the subject matter and just how hard they went into it. Specifically mentioning the final fight that she has with Jake before leaving the house for the last time. Having been exhausted and drained after an entire day before of filming violent scenes, followed by starting the next day at 4:30 in the morning. Owen actually broke down crying after Tamahori asked her to reshoot the scene, explaining, when you see that scene, that anger, all of that is pure, raw, very real emotion.
Fucking A.
So we have Rena Owen talking about her character, Beth. Beth was a gift of a role. She was sort of a role that a million actresses around the world would absolutely kill for, because you just do not get this female dramatic lead roles like Beth every day. She was a complete character, complex, juicy, and as an actress, I was able to sort of show a lot of my range to which I had to go through. A lot of emotions, definitely a lot of highs and lows.
So Owen goes on to describe Beth's strongest trait. On a personal level, Beth represented a voice that past generations of women were never allowed to have. And that has certainly happened as a result of this film being shown all around the world, where I've had women and also men who have come up to me and they cry on my shoulders, or they just want to hug me or compliment me, because basically it's a universal story and everyone can relate to Beth in their own country. So she's touched a very deep nerve in many people around the world. field, as well as in the awards that it picked up, particularly the Media Peace Awards and the award it was given in Montreal for giving hope to victims.
But we also have Reno and talking about the violence in the film. Yes, it is a violent film. However, it is not sensationalized violence. The violence comes with a purpose, and the intention of the violence in the movie is to say that violence on any level is an unacceptable presence. And in order to repel people against violence, you have to often show it in a graphic form, and it does work.
Fucking A. So, boys, let's talk about it. Okay, so favorite performance of the film. Beth, take it home, honey.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I would say props to Tamura Morrison for
Boba
playing
Fett's
Jake
crazy
as well. Oh yeah, it's like his character is just insane. That like he's fucking scary in this, like hard. But I mean, when it really comes down to it, I think Beth's is probably the realist.
Yeah, she's definitely believable in the situations that she's put in. And I think with Tamara, he's such a lovable person that whenever he's not being a complete fucking monster and he's being nice, you're like, oh, it's Tamara Morrison. And you're like, oh my god, he fucking like, oh my god, and it's like that the whole movie. And I think that creates an interesting dynamic for his character, and then also tells an interesting story with their relationship through that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I had Jake the Muss. I went with Jake the Muss, and just such a violent nature about him, intimidating, but he has that sweet side, like you said, TJ, and that's if he gets what he wants. And it's funny when he, but overall, but basically he's just a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. I will say that. It's the role that really put Tamura on the map, and to come out balls to the wall playing this monstrous beast, is just an amazing thing to see unfold with a great actor like this. Morrison definitely captures that essence and realism of the character, and he just chews up every scene he's in. I mean, you can't take your eyes off him every time he's graced across our screen. But it's definitely crafted Jake as his own character, and I think it makes you kind of wonder, like, if Tamura Morrison was actually this Jake the Muss. This is the shit we're seeing. It's like another side to Tamura Morrison. Like, is this shit real? Like I said, he just captures that aesthetic so beautifully. But yeah, like a honorable mention to Beth Hekes, absolutely. Fucking those two together, when they're together and they're singing and shit, it's great acting.
Now you have this connection to Aquaman, this unofficial connection, right?
So watching Aquaman, Tamura Morrison plays the dad in it, and there's a scene near the start of the film where Nicole Kidman's resting on his couch, and she wakes up and he comes in, and the first thing I think it's the first thing he says to her, but it's a reference to Once a Warriors, and he's like, would you like me to cook you some eggs? So you know where I'm coming up with that. Yeah, so when I saw that, I'm like, James Wan, damn son, you're coming in strong with the Easter eggs right there.
Also on Grace's wall, there's a poster of Edward Furlong, and then Beth would go to work on The Crow with Edward.
Oh yeah. I loved her posters. She had White Men Can't Jump, because I saw Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson, and then what was the other one? She had one on her door.
I think that was on her door. White Men Can't Jump.
No, it was on the wall behind it. Like when you open it, it would have been covered by the door. There was another one on the inside of the door. I can't remember what it was.
Nonetheless, the production design was on point for this film.
Oh fuck yeah! Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Shout out to Michael Caine, not the one you're thinking of. So yeah. Boys, favorite set piece. That fucking house is gross.
The house is nasty. Yeah, Grace did a really good job of cleaning it up after he threw it like a fucking tornado the night before, though.
That blood comes off pretty easily, it looks like.
I guess. That she was even able to repair that busted top window pane, apparently. I don't know if that was a bit of continuity or not, but when I was watching it, Sean pointed that out, because it was absolutely busted out whenever they left in the morning. And then whenever she comes back, whenever she comes back and sitting down at the end of the day, panel's right back there, just perfect condition. I was like, damn, she even fixed the window.
That makeup's on point though for Beth. Yeah, those prosthetics are fucking spot on.
It is hard to look at.
It is, and that's what makes it so effective.
Yeah, just the beginning of that shot where she's laying on the bed and there's still the blood on the side of the pillow and everything as well.
Yeah,
and he's laying. It's so uncomfortable. Like,
I'd have to go with McClutchy's pub.
Okay.
Jake's second home.
Yes.
The whole beaten and battered interior, of that pub looks industrial as fuck. It's just as gross as the fucking house.
I like how they have metal chairs and tables because they're going to get thrown around.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to get fucked up. And they're obviously good fighting weapons, as you see it against Uncle Bully. What I like about those pub scenes is that, you got Jake that drinks there. He is definitely labelled as the alpha fucking male of everyone in that pub, and that pub is huge. So, yeah, overall, it's dark and grim and perfect for this film. Definitely awesome setting, yeah.
I think they made it out of a warehouse. Whenever I was looking at it, pretty much almost all the filming locations are just South Auckland. So it's like all steel mills and all that stuff just all around there. I think that was the reason why that pub is so grimy and everything is because they shot it in like an abandoned warehouse in South Auckland.
That would be correct. Yes, absolutely. It's not a real pub as much as I would like it to be, so I could go over and fucking go to McClutchy's. But yeah, other than that, nah.
Okay.
No.
Nick, do you have a pick?
Oh, no, I was going to say also a little honorable mention to, I think it was the Royal, the second one that they stopped at on the road trip whenever he left the family out in the car so he could bet on horses again.
Have you ever seen that much piss, boys?
We were sitting there. I counted it out on screen. There were 20 40s on that table and 6 pitchers of beer around the outside.
Everybody loves Jay.
Why not? I'm a lovable chap. And then I'll just go and destroy a fucking jukebox.
Yeah. Smash the jukebox and then my friend.
Favorite scene or shot? I can tell you shot right now. When they're in that fucking car and they pull out and stuff, that's fucking I was like, wow, that shot. But I love those bits of the intro bit where you see Grace walking on the streets. I love how that looks. And then you see Tamara walking again in that same spot. And I just love the atmosphere that creates and the way that those are filmed.
Yeah, that was Beth at the beginning.
That was
like
Beth.
walking along that.
Yes.
Yeah, with the barbed wire fence and everything along the side of the road.
Okay. Very industrial looking. But I just like how those exterior shots are done.
Absolutely, yeah. I went with to me, when I think of Once a Warriors, this is the scene that sums up the title of the film, and that is when Nig sticks up for Beth towards the end of the film. So when they rock up to the pub, she's going off at Uncle Bully, then Jake goes to fight her, then Nig, the older son,
he does the
steps
read
in
it
and
thing.
blocks. Yeah, but it's that quick fucking like 10 seconds of them two just sort of staring at each other as a face-off, and it's like it's a little bit of a I think at that stage you see Jake also getting stuck into Nick basically saying, you're not a fucking man up, be this person that you're not. And then when that moment hits, Jake finally fucking realizes like, oh fuck, like this, even though I could wreck my son, he's got balls to stand up to me, and it's for a fucking valid reason. And that to me is like fucking powerful. I love that scene so much. And obviously honorable mention for favorite scene, Uncle Bully getting fucking owned because he totally deserved it, if not
absolutely demolished. Yeah, that was my favorite scene, I think, overall, was just the catharsis of that. Just Bully getting the shit beat out of him and then stabbed in the balls with a broken beer bottle at the very end of it, too.
My favorite scene has to be that final dialogue, though, where she mentions the film's title in it. Yeah, for sure.
That's definitely a good
Lots
one.
of cool shots, though. Great cinematographer.
I would say the shots are amazing. My favorite's probably Grace's funeral. Just the wide shot from it coming down to everyone coming up, and then they got the chants going, and Rui is singing the morning song and everything for it. That whole shot is just gorgeous.
How about she offers that homeless kid a home and then leaves like 2 days later?
All right, your problem now, kid.
Okay, anyway, other than that part, favorite effect. I think we already mentioned the prosthetics are just on point in this film.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just a lot of the makeup is just done extremely well to the point where it's believable and it makes you cringe, and it makes some scenes very difficult to watch. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
No, I'd have to agree with that.
It's
the
not
swollen eye, and then even just the makeup of covering the swollen eye with it still obviously being there under the makeup and everything. It was just so well done. There wasn't really a lot of overly visual effects.
Lots of fake tattoos.
I was about to say, the face tattoo was pretty cool. The half face.
I think I saw in an interview with him. It may have actually been part of the making of document about, he talked about he couldn't take it off for the most part. So like he would have to make sure he was sleeping on the side that it wasn't on for like days. And so he was like, I felt like I couldn't leave the character until we would finish the scenes where I needed it. And they'd sit and have them clean it off and everything. And he was talking about, he's like, it's a very cleansing process when makeup has to sit and rub your face for a half an hour with isopropyl alcohol until your skin's coming off.
Hey, gotta make it believable. And I think that this film definitely drives it home with the word believable. It's
real as hell. Yeah.
Realism.
Speaking of that, thoughts on story, boys?
I fucking love this film. It's like what Tamora Morrison said in our notes. This is just one of many stories like this from around the world, told from a different culture's perspective. That's how I've always seen it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, definitely, like we've just spoke about, captures realism and shit. But it's, you know, it's much more than that, just on how this poor family can keep pushing forward with nothing on their side, like, and the struggle of family matters. You know, it's a morbid story. And it's definitely hard to fucking watch. And it just goes to show that the director crafted a masterpiece in storytelling, especially replicating it from the novel itself. I find he did it justice. Would have been happy with those other little scenes that Nick was talking about earlier. But yeah, no, overall, I think the story's crafted very well.
I'll say, in my opinion, I think it's probably one of the more important movies we've talked about so far. Especially like, again, earlier in the notes, with Owen talking about how so many people all over the planet could relate to the story and were coming up to her afterwards for years and crying on her shoulder, and like just how much it impacted everybody. And I mean, of course, impact and takeaways.
Yeah.
Moving into that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, it's one of the best stories, I think. And I'm glad that they told it so unflinchingly like they did. Like no punches held at all.
Yeah, I really love this story. I like how it introduces you to this family, shows you the dynamic of Beth and Jake. And then from there, from that discourse and their troubles in the relationship, then they show you the lives of their children. And then from that, you get various subplots that run throughout the course of the film in tandem with the main plot, and then come to the ahead at the end because of a series of unfortunate events. And I think that that's kind of what really allows this film to keep pace, and it really allows you to stay invested because these characters are so believable, they're so well written, and I think the way that they all come together at the end is just so fucking awesome, and it's so well done. I felt so much for the Grace character. I felt so much for the Nig character. I think that their stories alone are just phenomenal, but just to have all of these characters come together and just to have one big struggle and unity is just one hell of a story, and it's one that's gonna last a lifetime. And I think that it says online a sleeper hit from '94. That's absolutely it. I never heard about it before this, and I wish I would have. And I'll allow that to transition into our impact and takeaways. And I'd say another film. This isn't this film affected me emotionally the same way the Amusement Park did, where it elicited some sort of reaction out of me. Made you think about something, made you feel something. And I think that if a film does that, then it achieved its goal. The filmmaker did their job well, boys.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore on that. To elaborate a little bit, I'd just say it's a powerful film that everyone should watch. I remember watching it in high school, and it really makes you question yourself on certain actions presented across the screen. Definitely challenges to sit there as a viewer and watch these subject matters, obviously such as, you know, rape and violence unfold. And also, finally, the Maori culture itself is definitely a strong culture, and it's presented throughout the film, and we see it more so in Beth as she becomes a leader by the end of the film, and this warrior that we really fucking feel for. And I'm glad that they made this story more so about Beth. Like, give it to Beth. Yeah, absolutely. By the end of the film.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I do kind of like how the Maori culture plays into and just kind of goes with it, starting with Jake being the warrior, being the violent one, and then Beth having her own story of actually being the warrior to stand up to this piece of shit. And just it's the same as, and why I thought it was so important is the fact that it makes you sit down and really look at things like rape and domestic violence and things like that.
These things are very real in today's modern society.
This is real. This happens here. Oh shit. It's real. This happens. Like, you can't just look away from it. You can't ignore it. Like how the director said earlier, you know, we didn't want to drag their nose through it or anything, but make it sit there and go, yes, you're going to be uncomfortable while you watch this scene, but it's real, and you have to understand understand that this happens. Why doesn't Beth just leave instantly? Here's why. This is how fucking scary it is to be in a position like this, and why you can't just up and fuck off. Like, and I really like that it went through all of that. They still ended up somewhat okay, at least better off than they were, minus Grace, in the end. But like, that's just the real sad truth about it. But it just plays it so well that you do still feel like the catharsis with Beth and Boogie and Nig and them all at the end. And I can't remember his name, but her friend even as well getting pulled up out of it too, because he's just snorting stuff and huffing glue in a car under an overpass.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. If you're going to include the subject matter of things like rape and domestic violence, make it purposeful and actually make it cohesive with the story, and just don't include it. And we're looking at you, Last House on the Left. And it's just, some films completely use it just for shock factor and don't really elaborate on it more than that, or really show the true traumatic repercussions of such an event. And I think this film, holy fuck, shows it spot on, and in just in the most intensive way. Boys,
absolutely.
Let's rate this. Brody, it's your pick. Go first.
Is there a tagline that you got to say?
Oh, okay. So...
Oh no.
This week's rating is brutal bar brawls out of 5. Brody?
Look, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I love this film so much.
Solid score. Slickless Nicholas?
4.4.
I'm going to give it a 4.2. And that is an LCE score of 4.4 out of 5 for Once Were Warriors from 1994. And we are happy to announce next episode, and it is 2020's The Stylist. We are super excited to talk about that film, and I'm excited to show you boys this film. I call it like a modern maniac with feminist vibes, and I think you boys will truly enjoy it. There's some Giallo homages in the cinematography, and I love everything about it.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, because I think I was reading a bit of an interview with the director herself, and she was saying it's a bit of a Giallo inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes going on throughout so yeah, I'm really interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
It's downright brutal in a couple scenes, and I'd have to say watching the short film, which is available on YouTube for free, in tandem with this is a must. It's a great double feature, and it's a good little prequel and intro to our character that you really get to know well in the feature. I think Jill's a fantastic director, and it really shows in her first feature here. But I think that's all we have for this episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to your favorite podcast. And this is the Pod Boss, TJ Bowser, signing off.
This is your doppelganger Kangabanger all the way from motherfucking down under, saying I'll catch you motherfuckers next week.
Slickless Nicholas signing off. I love all you lovely people. Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Fuck's that?
That is a pig's giant balls.
Holy fuck.
That's one for the blooper reel. During the casting of...
Where's the mute button? That's a pig's giant balls.